Hello, we're back and we're sharing more sunshine. Patch and I are on our lunchtime walk. I wouldn't normally do two videos in the same day. I felt like I benefit from it, so let's see what comes through. I would say the topic or topics for today in this video are all about integration and integrating what you learn, and then also focusing on ourselves, despite all the metaphysical lessons and learnings that we experience, what about our lives and our dreams and our sometimes we're taught that these are selfish needs, but they're absolutely needs. I don't feel they're selfish to have your own dream, your own life, as well as serving a mission. And speaking of which, there is I think we call these buzzards flying around. There it is there, circling around. I think some of them might even eat pigeons and smaller birds. Anyway, Patch sent me a good sniff around. Let's walk into the sun, Patch, because we're going on a longer walk today. And when I was doing this morning, I was doing what the motivation for today's video was working with Chloe this morning on the higher self intermediate training. We were working on activating superpowers, so learning the steps through to helping others activate their superpowers. And she was working on mine, and since it was me, I can disclose my experience. And for me, it was the throat chakra, or just between the heart and throat chakra, and that I sometimes have a bit of a blockage in expressing all of what John wants. And this includes not just self-care and self-love, but the joy aspects of my life. And it's also met with constantly downloading and integrating new information, new understandings and codes and mental models and all these different terms. So that's really important to focus on. And I also had a recent client session where the client was very, how to describe, they were very grounded, but they also shared some of this internal conflict, which was sometimes just listen to myself. Even my job title now, sometimes I find it hard to integrate. What does it all mean? I've got, I'm a spiritual psychic mentor. What does that mean, John? What do you do? And these are just, I feel it's been a big part of the journey, but I kind of enjoy it too. It reminds me a lot of when I was a kid, and I've watched Star Wars and the Goonies and Indiana Jones, and there was always this magic you felt you were discovering and exploring at the same time as just being present and getting on with your life, getting on with being a child back then, and now a father of two and a husband and an owner of Patch, although I think he really owns me. Oh, and by the way, thank you for your orders, because it seems that a few of you have purchased through the newsletter I sent, which is about Patch, and what's it called? Something like the lessons that Patch the Papillon taught me. I think that's what it's called. I only sent it on Monday, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'd like to share some of the experiences of what it's like doing this work now full time and the effect it has on my life. I would say, first of all, it's very positive. It's a big change. When I left, when I finished yesterday at 4 p.m, my wife was like, "This is incredible," and I said, "I know. I just, even though it was one day a week," and she was saying, "Oh, it's okay to have some late nights in a week," and I was like, "Yeah, it is okay." But I said I'd like to minimize those. So I got to do the things, I enjoy doing too. And sometimes the programs that we've learned and that we rely on, for example, this program is really a program of lack that says that the more hours you work, the more successful you are, or the more hours you work, the more you love yourself. Like, these are very destructive, or can be very destructive patterns. And I feel that actually what's most beneficial to me is feeling into the impact that I have for others, which is quite hard to measure, but just knowing that I've helped one or more person each day, it's enough. It's more than enough. Some people may never help anyone in their lives. Some people may help thousands of millions in one day. I don't know, but for me, it feels good. It feels really good to help at least one heart each day. And I've still got a lot of years to live, and a lot of hearts to help and to pace myself. If I burn myself out, I would stop being able to help other people. Just keeping an eye on my battery. Oh, we have 44%, that's good. Come on, Petch, it's gonna be a long walk. If I talk about my daily routine a little bit, that's a very grounded thing, right? So, get up at 5 a.m, go for a morning run. I actually come up this road here, and then I head out south of the town, up into the hills and the countryside. And then I come back, do some I have some gym equipment, like a pull-up bar and some weights now outside, because the garage is dominated by our renovation, our kitchen, and my music studio. And then I do my some like yoga and meditation. I do that in the kitchen now because there's a lot more space. I don't need to heat it separately. The studio doesn't have its own heating. Sorry, it doesn't have like central heating, so I have to heat it separately for client sessions, etc. So that feels like it probably does save a bit of money, not heating it or heating it as early. And after that, I have breakfast, and then I look at my calendar and see what I've got on today. Often I've looked the night before, but not always. I have a rough sense. Like today, I knew I had quite a lot on, and I just needed to pace myself. So I found myself sat in the kitchen at 8:30 a.m. doing my video editing, and then after that after the video editing, doing Patches doing his business right now as we speak, not that early in the morning. Oh, there's a nice bag for you. And I think I've got too many bags, so that's not bad. Okay, so once I've finished my video editing, I just went off for a walk and actually did another video while I was walking. If you wonder why I do so many of these videos, and please do tell me if you enjoy them or not. I guess if you watched it, you probably do enjoy it. Yeah, what's cool about the experience is I find them very helpful for integrating. It's almost like just talking it through. And let's face it, most people would be if I just spoke at them for 2 hours in a day, they'd be like, still talking about his work and his life all the time. Whereas you guys get to choose, right? You can just choose if you want to watch the video or not. So yeah, I find that really good. And I love, Patch always gets me out for 3 walks in a day, so that's good. And whilst yesterday was a shorter day, finishing at 4, today is longer. So I have 2:30 today. I have a session with someone, I think in the US. Come on, Patch. And after that, so that must be 2:30 to 3:30. and then I'll have the live stream at 4:30 to 6:30 on YouTube. Feel free to come along. This will be the last one for a week because I'm on holiday the following week. And then after that, later today, I've got the membership group are meeting up. And I'm not sure what the final votes will be, but the current leading vote for today's topic will be a deep dive into the sacral chakra, which will be a lot of fun, because that's the source of many things in our lives, often where we see the like our inner child as well. So that'll be amazing to connect with, do a deep dive, do some healing, help all the members. And sometimes we forget that we have a little version of us inside of us, looking for help, looking for guidance, looking for love and protection. And the adult version of us, aspects of us, often can feel quite protective, but not always conscious of what we're protecting. I know I feel that sometimes. So yeah, and then I'll be done at I think 9 p.m. tonight. I think that's right. 8:30 or 9 p.m. And then I'm on holiday, or say I'm on holiday. I'll be off traveling tomorrow, and then Saturday travel back to Edinburgh to do my massage. First clients day in the training. Although I've done my own clients, this will be more of like a pre-assessment and no doubt some feedback. So that's my day. Both my wife and so my wife works at a local school, and then my son goes to the local school. They're actually different schools because she works at the primary school and he goes to high school. But they're usually home by about 4:30 p.m. And it never really occurred to me to try and align the session end times with when my family come back, because if you do that, it means that you can like just come out of the studio and say hello, rather than them being home and the house being empty but me being in the studio and so on. So that's definitely something to reflect on. I've already started making changes. And yeah, that was one thing I wanted to talk about is always, like each day, always creating your future, like always refining your future. And because we always have the opportunity in every present moment to change our future, to mold it and craft it and shape it, like putty in our hands. And so one thing I've been doing is saying hello to this tree. One thing I've been doing is creating my new work pattern and focusing client sessions, like all the activity, concentrating it across Tuesday, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Now the actual choices I make perhaps aren't as relevant to you. Well, maybe it is if your availability isn't great on those days, but you can just let me know if you have challenges with that. For me, what I've found is that I really enjoy doing back-to-back sessions with a half-hour break rather than spreading it out across the day and spreading it across the week. It gives me more time to rest and recuperate. It gives me more time for almost like being more John, like being more just human, doing the human stuff. And I do want to do more, it's a funny thing to say, more chores and DIY around the house. Some of those jobs have built up. And I know it's also something my wife would love as well. And there's stuff I'd like to learn doing it. And if I was to offer any advice about what helps me ground, it's almost like the more human the thing, the better. The more human the thing, the better it is for grounding you. So for example, for me, doing some DIY, doing electrics on my camper van, or like the things I did last year, like fitting a new water tank, reattaching or refitting the solar panels. There's a long list of stuff I did, and I just feel that some of this work is kind of like a meditation. Like you go into a little bit of a mind set mind state as you work through it. And also you just feel like very connected to your body, and that can feel really good, right? Especially when you're doing work which is a lot of it's outer body. And I often feel that I quite like this pattern, this cycle of going on camping trips and adventures and traveling, and then coming back and going through like a preparation cycle. I know it just feels good. It feels like the preparation, and that includes like DIY camper van upgrades, clearing, decluttering, like all these things in that cycle are very therapeutic. And that's something I'm going to factor into my, or should I say I'm starting to factor now into my regular work pattern. I think the other challenges with this work and integrating is this like understanding the different aspects of ourselves and giving, you know, equal credit and self-worth to all aspects. So sometimes I feel a bit like, should I say John feels a bit like he needs to rely on his guides to get answers or to questions, or, you know, a bit like they ask the aliens questions that they need to go and consult directly all the time. And actually, especially since I'm giving answers to other people, that it's good as a fellow human to be able to answer these yourself, because we tend to meet people more at their, you know, share more at their vibration, and you know, some people can fall into a bit of a trap. I know I have in the past, of sometimes thinking our guides are superior to us, and so, you know, surely they would have all the answers, and yet I think it's healthier to see them as an equal but expansive and like an extension of ourselves. So the more you can kind of integrate that and connect them together and feel like it's more of a sliding scale between all aspects of you, depending on, you know, any answers or decisions you're making or things you're investigating, you're able to just focus on like finding that sweet point for you. And it's not always the same point, right? I did find that during the last video I did with Linda G, that I seemed to much more effortlessly, to work between the different aspects and just like slide in and out of chatting with my guides or whatever. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was quite funny. I was really tempted there just to ask one of my guides, any other suggestions, since we're like on the subject. I'm just refraining a bit because I haven't set up a safe space for us to chat, and I feel like that is helpful. I would, in private, I would quite happily just ask my guides in and out of, you know, conversation. But when I'm doing something like a video that's going to be shared with others, or, you know, I don't want any unwanted answers coming in from other beings. So, just try not to drop my hat, which I've not worn at all this whole walk. Come on, Patch. Come on, buddy. I've still got a long way to go. What do other people think of my reality now? It was really helpful visiting Amazon last Friday and visiting my work colleagues there, my ex-work colleagues. And what I loved was them, you know, I would say, I used to be really scared of using the word psychic, and now I use it much more freely. And I know some of my loved ones don't super love some of these terms I use, but especially given that it's now my job and I'm a happy, healthy human and can keep, a sustainable life doing this without completely freaking out, losing my mind. But they're much more accepting and trusting. And maybe that's another way of describing this integration process I'm going through, which is that from just, it's not even a year since I was working in my corporate job. Maybe I should have a celebration in April and May. My last day in the office was April 30th, and then May 30th was when my contract ended. So these could be opportunities to, okay, Patch, he wants to stop. These could be opportunities to celebrate and to reflect. I know when I asked around December time, I asked my kids what's been the biggest difference since I took on this job, doing this work full time. They said, "You're always there." Yeah, that's funny because my daughter was just home from university and is away most of the time. Come on, Patch. So even though she wasn't always there, the perception was I was, which I love. And I also, I'm going to take advantage of this bin over here, so to speak. I'm going to put Patch's poo in it because the next bin's not for a wee while. It saves me carrying it. Just make sure I don't put my hat in there. Let's get rid of this Patch. Just the poo, nothing else, okay. Come on then, Patch likes sniffing everything. You're an expert sniffer, Patch. Yeah, so it's lovely that I'm always around, and it's been great to be around. I also really enjoy at least a day where I'm not at home. So the Tuesday at Naked Revive is fantastic. And I did a session for a client this week, and I'd previously seen them in the end of October. It's like, wow, it's like October, November, December, January, like how the months fly by, and yet it still all feels so new. And I love that. I love that newness, that feeling. I would say yesterday in particular, I felt, and still it started to a degree today, is there's a plane just kind of hovering above us, going very, very slowly. Oh, it's a stunt plane, or it's just a plane doing stunts. I guess it's not by itself. Yeah, it was that feeling of, John, it's going to be okay. Like, you did it. You made the leap. You created a sustainable income and business for your family and for you. You enjoy the work. You love it. You're seeing a way to continue to make it more and more, like just continuously make it more of a balance in my life, and that feels so good. I know many people crave this, right? And many people have taken the leap to follow their passion, and may take years to achieve it. And I feel like these last many months, what is it? How many months left? So it's a year, February, so March, April, so 3 more months. So I said 9 months, about that, 9 or so months, that it's been a real fast track. It's been a real fast track of experience. And for me, that's really exciting. Like, I really love that fast track. I love learning fast. I love being vulnerable and humble and transparent. And I find it really helpful on my journey to do that. Because I feel like sometimes I'm battling a bit with, younger versions of me that were more egotistical, the older, especially the pre-awakened John, if you like, or pre-awakenings version of me. That was, I was quite a different person then, and learning to accept the whole of me. All that experience, all that journey was really important. It's still important to this day. I was remembering, as an example, I was remembering time I spent at Lloyd's Bank, and there was a guy called Eddie. This was in 2008, 2008, 2009. I was there for 5 years, and there was a guy called Eddie who was like a manager, like a kind of senior development manager, and I was new to running projects, to running development projects, and I just remember him like giving me a lot of input about. He was like kind of reading the riot act and telling me like all the things I needed to do to get my project on schedule, on plan, and that was a real wake-up call. And one thing in particular is he said to me, John, you just need a plan. Create the plan, and then always work to the plan. And when the plan doesn't feel viable anymore, tell everyone that it's not viable anymore, and redo the plan, and then repeat. And he'd ask me things like, he'd say to me, so what, your current plan will, launches in, let's say it was like, I remember it was like April, May time. He said, have you planned the next project? Because it was only a few months away. And I said, no, I'm just too busy focusing on this plan. He said, wrong. It was like the wrong answer. You need to plan for the next project too. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. He says, you can't just like, launch one day and then have no idea what to do next. Like, you need to keep your team trucking and like get them ready to move on to the next one. So that was really helpful, and he was fantastic. Although I was so upset with our chat, and I had to go over to Belfast for it, and felt like I had a real dressing down. What I loved was that what he sparked in me was ownership and hustle, and I was like, you just need to like find all the things you're dependent on in the project, and then go around and agree with the teams when they're going to do it, and if they don't do it by that time, go and escalate it to your manager, or they can't do it in a reasonable time frame, escalate it so that everyone can figure out the best thing to do. And it's like, oh, this is great advice. Now, if you map some of those lessons now to my current job, I have no plan. The most I have is some training schedules about when some stuff's going to happen. And it feels better, to be honest, than having a plan. I don't need a plan. Because I know that anything I write down that tries to predict what will happen next is not that helpful, because I've never done this. I've never been in this business, never been on this mission. Maybe I have been on this planet, and never done these things before. So how can you create what could be a very restrictive plan? But what I do know is that some of those themes still are helpful. So I do reflect a bit on what I'll focus my energy on later in the year, and I have like different candidates for different things. So for example, creating the advanced course. Now I promised to do that, I have customers interested, and I love the idea. I just generally love the idea that people that have completed the intermediate course don't just stop. And I'd also like the idea of getting those that have expressed interest in the course involved in some of the creation, like getting their feedback as I go and all these things. And I love to do travel, both in the UK and then do some retreats or trips abroad, even if it's later in the year. Like I don't really care when it is, to be honest. Just doing it, planning for it, having the capacity, having the finances, the abundance to do it. And yeah, I'm just really excited about what feels like an ever expanding, ever expansive journey. I've also been connecting with some people that I haven't spoken to in maybe a year or two, and they've either been clients or friends or people that I've collaborated with online, and it's just really fascinating catching up with their journeys, hearing all about their life changes. Some are still doing their day jobs, some have changed the day job itself, some have left their day jobs and are doing more similar work to me. Some have had families. There's just a whole broad range. And I would say just a general theme of everyone progressing at their own pace. You know, not everyone needs to leave their day job. In fact, I do feel that a lot of us have missions to help change the companies that we work for from within. Like they're so much harder, maybe you could argue impossible to change from the outside, but from the inside it's a whole lot easier. Anyway, that was a lovely walk. Thank you for joining. If you have any topics or suggestions you'd like me to focus on in my videos, please let me know. If you've watched this video, I love hearing your reflections, and I look forward to sharing with you again. I'll be live on YouTube 4:30 p.m. UK time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, and 8:30 a.m. Pacific time today, Thursday. Take care, send love.